Our next speaker is Ms. Samina Rizwan. She is the country director at Code for Pakistan, where she builds support for civil tech initiatives. She has been instrumental in promoting and supporting the use of technology for social good in Pakistan and beyond. In addition to her work at Code for Pakistan, Ms. Samina has also made significant contributions to the technology industry in Pakistan. In 2001, she established Oracle in Pakistan and led the company's leadership initiatives in different regions, including Nepal, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Ms. Samina on the stage for her presentation.
Hello? Yes, good, thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Talib Kareem. Thank you, Mr. Naqvi, for working with me yesterday, last night, giving me very good pointers into what I should not be saying, keeping in mind that I tend to start something and dive immediately into technology. I'll try not to do that today. I'm particularly happy and grateful that you've invited students today. The young people sitting on this side and that side, I assume lots of students amongst you. My advice, if there's something that I say which you don't understand, Google very quickly. So keep your phones in your hand and use them as much as you can. Right. Technology. I've taken some notes from what everybody here said. Mr. Kareem started with tech and science in his welcome address. Then we had Amjad Saab, of course, very sad situation with the economy, but one of the things you mentioned was that the feed-in comes from 5 or 6 industries he had mentioned. The government has identified STEM technology, IT, as one of the 5 major industries for revenue growth. So that's important. I want to connect with that. We had Javed Jabbar Saab talk about graveyards being full of leaders. एक शेर है तुमसे पहले वो जो एक शख्स हाँ तख्त नशीं था उसको भी अपने खुदा होने पे इतना ही यकीन था. So the point is that all of us are leaders or maybe future leaders today, but we need to remain humble. One of the 2 or 3 things that Alexander said, some really good writers that I've been very impressed with. Simon Sinek, who writes Start With Why. You must read that, all the young people here. Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, very good book for leaders to read. The point is, we are at a situation today where everything changes except technology. Technology is taking over our lives and our work in a way that we are being overwhelmed by it, but we are also empowered by it. So today, I've titled it in a little complicated manner. I apologize to you. The housekeeping here is, the slide may look to you as a little detailed, a little busy. It's really a lot of pictures. Don't worry about it too much. There's a big bold line that I've highlighted. Just read through that and we'll go on from there. So we try to bring IT and business together in alignment. Remember that when we talk about the digital creative economy, we are talking about 4 participants in it. One is the citizen, first and foremost, or the consumer, as you may call it. The second is business, or could be government. That would be the second and the third. And the fourth would be academia, people who do the R&D on these things and help us move along. Right, so going on to my story, we are talking about being in the eye of a perfectly brewing storm. Let's give it a thought. there was a time when you could not communicate massively, publicly, to a larger audience, plus the people who are giving you flack in life, people who are giving you support in life. That was because technology and the physical being of a human being did not allow you to go there. When we talk about universal access to data, availability of free platforms, basically what is that driving? That is driving the ability of a human being to communicate with not 2 or 10 or 100 or 1,000, but millions at one time, millions. It is also talking about us being able to tweet and Insta and Facebook and go out and tell people what our opinion is, what we demand. This was Web 2.0. People say Web 2.0 was for people, as Web 3.0 is for data. So let's look at how that impacts. Here are some pictures of the stuff that I've been working on lately. One of them in the one corner is the floods. There is nothing in Pakistan that can help disaster management as a toolkit, as a playbook that says flood aayega, earthquake aayega, what are you going to do about it? And what are the learnings for next time? A little Shahidi based, look it up guys, Shahidi based program and application which crowdsourced information for early responders like Al Khidmat, like ED Trust, for example. And we won't go into what crowdsourcing is, people can look it up. It was basically people communicating with people. At the other end is a graph that you see. That graph is about NCOC's excellent work done during the COVID crisis. Pakistan was one of the countries that handled COVID best. उसके पीछे कई वजह हैं, वजूहात हैं. एक ये भी है कि they used Web 3.0 technology the very best way. The point being here is, Nadra, for example, now one of what I call one of the best kept secrets in Pakistan in terms of technology. दुनिया को पता नहीं है कि हम क्या काम कर रहे हैं. आज से 15-20 साल पहले नादरा ने पहला अपना कार्ड इशू कर दिया था. Sorry, Alexander and Sir, I'll try to keep it to English. And at the time, there was no Aadhaar card in India, no RFID-based card in Bangladesh. In fact, Turkey, which has been one of the territories that I have operated in very extensively, does not have, it has one of those old cards that we used to have, the paper-based cards. So it's a well-kept secret. Unfortunately, we do not tell the world all the good things that we do. Nadra is using digital power to create apps for us, and you're aware that a lot of access into Nadra has become easy for us. So the point is, the digital creative economy is a version of the economy that has to do with power in the hands of the people. Think about it. This is known as the democratization of power. In the typical world, or in the typical interaction between technology and machinery and people, it was utility that drove technology. Think about World War I and World War II. Think about the wars that have happened. The most massive inventions have come out of disasters and crises, such as World War II gave birth first to the early thought process on computers. So there was a utility needed, and it was driving technology. Think about it a little now. Is technology now driving utility? Sometimes you don't need something, yet you create it, and then people run after it and they use it. Did we really need social media? Maybe, maybe not. Has it really helped us? In the case of democratization of power, what does that mean? That means that because data is easily accessible by you and I, because earlier it was in the hands of the government or the large companies, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Now if it is open, it comes into everybody's hands. The moment I have a voice, I am able to participate. When I'm able to participate, I have power, right? So from that perspective, now technology is driving utility. I've given you some examples. These are all from Pakistan. I won't go into too much detail on them, but the map that you see in the middle, that is the floodlight map that we created for the management or the early responder activity on floods. This can now be converted into a complete disaster management toolkit, which basically says that the next time there's going to be a flood, you will have a lot of data to analyze. I want you to look at the corner, which is the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Open Data Portal. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you'd be surprised, is the only province in Pakistan that has an open data policy approved by its cabinet. And they have an open data portal, which basically means in layman's terms that there are 6,000 types of information. We call them data sets. 6,000 types of information that you and I can access. Mandi ke bhav kya hai? Rivers ke kya halat hai? Tomato ki kya rate chal rahi hai? Number of schools active kitne hain? After the floods, Swabi ke andar kitne shelters bane? This is all data points. Uske saath, what can I do? I can do analytics on it. I can say, I can contribute here, there, wherever, right? So this is the democratization of power that we are talking about. Lots of good stories coming out of Pakistan now. You see the two young lady in the corner. There is a lot of technology work right now going on to bring women back into the workforce. We call it the returnship and the internship programs. There is a quiet revolution going on in Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, which people don't really talk about as much. In my community, we talk about startups all the time. But let me give you some statistics. And this is part of the private sector, and Amjad Saab, this is what's going to drive the economy in future if we play the game right. Do you know that Pakistan is one of the largest freelance tech markets in the world? How many people knew that? What is freelance? Freelance is that I pick up a project on the internet, I make a quote for it on the internet, and I either win it or not. I take 5 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to do the work. It's graphic design, it's Canva-based work, it's HTML, Python-based code that I'm writing. And I upload it back to the party that wanted it. They pay me $50, $500, whatever. Web 3.0 has brought about this revolution. Why? Because earlier we were on the periphery of technology and we were not being considered. Today we are able to access information, project boards, etc., and we're able to respond. One of the things that has driven this is what? COVID has said to us, hey, you can live and operate in a different way. It has been a boon and a bane at the same time. It's been a near black swan-like incident. By the way, everybody look up black swan. It's an economic term. A pandemic is not a black swan. It has happened before. COVID is a black swan-like happening. Why? Because what came out of it had never come out before. You discovered that you could heal Mother Nature by stopping, as much driving as we do, by stopping the environmental issues, controlling them. We didn't mean to, but it just happened. And you saw that the skies cleared up, you saw that the animals came out. More importantly, or equally importantly, you saw that tier 1, not just tier 1, but tier 2, tier 3 cities in Pakistan, people started to make money off of internet-based work. The startup community in Pakistan raised last year. In 1 year, they raised about $230 million or $280 million, which was more than the previous 6 years put together. Think about that. More than the previous 6 years put together. In gaming, Pakistan is one of the primary locations or destinations where gaming technology is being delivered to the rest of the world. And Karachi is full of gaming companies which are making revenue off of that. You guys have heard about ChatGPT? मैंने ChatGPT को कहा, और वो मुझे मिल नहीं रही वो नज़्म जो मैंने उससे बोली थी लिखने के लिए. मैंने उसको कहा कि शेक्सपियर और गालिब को कंपेयर कर दो. उसने बड़ी मज़े की अंग्रेज़ी में मुझे शेक्सपियर और गालिब के बारे में एक नज़्म लिख के दे दी. It was really nice. The problem was it kept repeating the same words in the second, third, fourth nazm that I asked it to do. So it's not quite as brainy as it thinks. And remember, ChatGPT only has data to a certain number of years. It doesn't have data till the current year. That will change over time. The point is, what is that going to do to designers, to writers, to journalists, to all sorts of other people who have very glorified roles right now? ChatGPT can probably replace them completely, or other AI, what you call open AI, that is artificial intelligence. So what I've said here is that the private sector drivers within Web 3.0 and everything that I've listed here is part of the technologies that are currently available to us, are going to be impacted hugely by this technology. And if banks, telcos, manufacturers, other industries are not locked into this, they're going to get left behind. Okay, here's the thing. I spent the last 20 years working for a company very loyally and very mutually respectfully, selling millions and millions dollars, millions of millions worth of dollars for software solutions. The company was called Oracle, one of the most respected brands in the world in big tech. And the regions that I have worked in or served are Middle East, Africa, Eastern and Central Europe, and ASEAN. My last assignment was as Vice President of ASEAN countries out of Singapore. One fine day during COVID, I decided, enough. बहुत काम कर लिया, पैसे तो कभी इतने कमा नहीं सकूंगी जितना कि मुझे ज़रूरत होती है, क्योंकि ज़रूरत बढ़ती चली जाती है. But good money, never enough. And I want to go home and chill. So I one day just went and said, this is it, thank you very much, I'm going home. I came home and I thought कि यहाँ पे तो कोई इतना ज़्यादा, I've been away from Pakistan for like about 20 years, so होगा नहीं ऐसा काम, which I could engage myself in. Lo and behold, we found work that is so much more interesting. So think about it. When Amjad Sahab was talking about if you educate a number of, I forget the number you said, that many young people, you add that much more money to the economy. Where I'm working now, ladies and gentlemen, it's just above the poverty line. So grassroots work where we're going back to women and young people who are not equipped or not economically capable of being part of the working economy in technology, we just bring them up to a certain point where they can sell their skills. Remember, there's a thing called Open Data Pakistan. If you look at it, Pakistan has not really opened up its data. What does that mean? Big tech across the world owns your data. Remember that. Between Google, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, AWS now, the biggest, they own 100% of the world's data, 100% of Pakistan's data. How much do you pay them, do you suppose? Your first project goes for about 5 million on the average, and put it in Pakistani context. It's perfectly okay for Singapore and USA and Canada to pay 5 million for one small project. How easy is it for a Pakistani company to pay $5 million? Then you pay 22% on the average on top of it every year as support. I've done it all my life. I'm not saying that that's not the right thing to do. I'm just saying now, because technology allows it, there's a better way. And the way is open platforms, free software that you and I can use. I can use it on top of something that's a paid platform, and because it has open APIs, I'll just do a little tech talk here. Because it has open APIs, you can connect into it, and you can take the data and analyze it and do things with it. So if somebody locks down media, there are other ways for us to communicate. It's Web 3.0, Web 2.0 that's allowing you to do that. Here is some interesting information, and I'm reaching the end of my presentation now. Look at the top 10 countries harnessing information technology. These are your traditional countries that have managed their funds and their economy very well, and they've understood the need for technology. Fine, makes sense, right? The top 10 countries. What is more interesting for me is which government is the most tech savvy. And look at it, it's still 2016 numbers, but if you look at 2023 now, the countries that have entered that group are kind of not expected to be there, like United Arab Emirates, Korea, Qatar, Malaysia, new entrants, Estonia, one of the best examples of government with open data policy and what they're doing with it. The point is, and you saw what happened in Qatar with the World Cup. All of us were predicting that it's going to go badly. Well, something happened, and a lot of it had to do with technology, where they were able to harness it and bring it to their use. Let me give you one anecdotal story on this. And Alexander, you would know this, in Dubai, about 5 or 6 years ago, they appointed a young lady, I believe she was a Harvard graduate, a young Emirati woman. By the way, Emirati women have one of the highest, what do they call it, high net worth in the world for women. They are one of the highest net worth women in the world. So that breaks a myth as well that Arab women are not enterprising. Some of the biggest entrepreneurs are coming out of the UAE and Saudi Arabia right now. Anyway, the story I was telling was about this young woman who was given the Ministry of Happiness. Did you know that in Dubai there is a Ministry of Happiness? If I were to tell you कि आपको Minister of Happiness बना दिया, अब आप ये करें और इसको measure करें, आप कैसे measure करेंगे? Because impact measure करना ज़रूरी है, हम पाकिस्तान में नहीं करते, लेकिन करना चाहिए, right? Otherwise you haven't done your job. The first year that I started to work with the ministry, and this young lady had no KPIs, she decided that she would put this little mechanism, this little box at the airport, in the malls, in the DIVA office, the Empower office, you know, the power and the water and power authority, etc. And all it had was a smiley face, and a sad face, and a neutral face. And it said, can you press a button? Were you outside bathrooms, public toilets? Were you happy with the experience? Are you sad or are you neutral? और एक बटन दबाने में कितनी देर लगती है? You know, survey form fill करने में time लगता है. So you just would say, airport, nice, I was happy with it, right? That was the first year. She collected more data than she knew what to do with. People responded. Fast forward 5 years, she has over 200 KPIs. 200 KPIs just collected from public people like us, responding to little questions that she puts out. And they're very interactive, they're very easy to do, you're happy to answer. It'll come on Twitter, it'll come into your mailbox, it'll come on Facebook, and you'll just press a button and you'll say yes or no. What has that accomplished? What do you think Dubai's aim in life is? What do they want to be? Anybody? Dubai wants to be the happiest place in the world. Happiest destination in the world. Thank you. That's all. it's easy to say. It's in it's in people terminology. It's really about business. And it is underpinned with technology. This would not be possible or would be very difficult to arrive at were there not that kind of technology available, which was allowing us to communicate with the government in a very effective manner. The same is true of consumerism. If you saw one of the earlier slides, Khadi now in Pakistan has a user experience shop. How many of us are going to Khadi? Every woman here goes to Khadi. How many of us go to the user experience? I just go there to see unhone technology kaise use ki hui hai, right? And I can go and see my form, my requirement in their clothes, and usually I look horrible, but at least I know, right? So that is happening in the consumer world today in Pakistan as well. My only request to the leaders here, and you have been leading business for not years but decades, and respect to you for that because it's difficult to operate in a country like Pakistan. But my request only is that you do consider technology, and especially Web 3.0 kind of technology, which is more about open systems, open data, open platforms, sharing of information. There's a long story behind that. It's very interesting, but we won't be able to go into it today. I have some recommendations, even if you're a little reserved about applying all kinds of technology, because remember, technology for the sake of technology means nothing. Technology as aligned to your business is what we need, right? So if you're a little averse to going into that very decisive decision, maybe engage your team members in community work or going out and working in the tech community to see how technology is being utilized. हम 2-2 महीने, 3-3 महीने बहुत सारी चीज़ों के लिए अपने एम्प्लॉइज़ को ऑफ देते हैं. इतकाफ़ पे जाना है, आप ऑफ ले लें. तबलीग करने जाना है, ऑफ ले लें. हज उम्रे के लिए जाना है, ऑफ ले लें, राइट? थोड़े 2 महीने इस बात के लिए भी ऑफ दे दें कि कम्युनिटी में जाके वो कोई चीज़ लर्न कर लें. Maybe in the tech community, put them with somebody like us, put them into the startup world so that they can learn something. Encourage them to match design and technology with user needs. Somebody talked about, you said, get out of the door and go and meet people. Most business people would like to sit in their offices and not go out and meet. Well, when you go out and meet, you realize मेरी needs आप जो मुझे provide कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में क्या है. जब मेरी needs आपको पता चलेंगी तो probably you can serve me well. Today, Web 3.0 is allowing you to serve an audience of one. An audience of one. If they profile me correctly, they know exactly what banking products to give to me, what manufacturing items to give to me. That is possible if you go out and learn about my needs. Underpin your ESG initiatives with technology. A long story there as well. CSR is an old term now. It is all about environment, social, and governance. When you put your dollars into that, understand that your dollars will be used in a more sustainable manner if there is an underpinning of technology under it, so that you can take the data, analyze it, consider the impact, and then decide what your next step is going to be. So, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz in 2017 said, "My competition no more are the car companies. They are not Toyota, Volkswagen, whatever else there may be." He said, "My competition now is Tesla, Google, Amazon, Apple." And lo and behold, less than 10 years later, Mercedes is being eyed by Elon Musk, and very soon all of these industries are going to be bought up by technology companies. Unless we control the data that we own that belongs to us, again, we will be in the hands of others who control our data. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that was useful.